I got another call that the baby aspirated meconium and was having breathing difficulties. So I went back by last night again. I did a thoracic adjustment on the baby, and he stimulated the upper thoracic spine. We auscultated the lungs. Ashy blue color went away, filled the skin, and with great color, and the baby's doing absolutely perfect right now. Medicine is crisis oriented, and we're so thankful for crisis care, right? Like, we live in America, this is wonderful. You can get crisis care in an instant, where some parts of the world you're just going to die.
Yeah,
literally just going to die. So wonderful stuff. But crisis care does not belong in health care. So people are like, well, it's the same thing. No, it's not. No, not chiropractic and infertility. Chiropractic making the body work again. Because if you don't have progesterone, if you don't have follicle stimulating hormone, if you don't have luteinizing hormone, you're not making an egg, you're not kicking that egg out of the nest, and you're not lining the uterus so it can implant itself. You're just not.
Welcome to the Superhuman Blueprint Podcast.
Welcome, my friends, to the Superhuman Blueprint Podcast, your resource for all things self-optimization. I am your host, Drew Grissel of Primal Wellness Coaching. Quick note, if you like our stuff, if you find it valuable, if you pick up any useful nuggets of wisdom, please be sure to subscribe and share with others you know that could also benefit from our show. Also, show notes for today's episode can be found on the superhumanblueprintpodcast.com. On today's show, we've got a really interesting guest, Dr. Brian Wikoff. So Dr. Brian graduated from the Los Angeles College of Chiropractic with a bachelor's degree in biology and a doctorate in chiropractic. Dr. Brian has been in practice for more than a couple decades and has quite a few certifications, things such as spinal trauma, pediatric scoliosis, sports injuries, and more. But his expertise and capacity to heal gets even more interesting than that, which we will get into in the show. Dr. Brian lives an active and healthy lifestyle along with his lovely wife, Stacy. They love organic gardening. They have chickens that lay organic eggs. And aside from all that, Dr. Brian is just a cool dude that enjoys other activities like sailing, surfing, hiking, rafting, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and apparently spearfishing, which my friend has been bugging me to try out. So I'm interested in that as well. Dr. Brian has competed in jiu-jitsu competitions. He's done Tough Mudder, various mud runs, 5Ks. But amongst these many activities, going to church and spending time with Stacy and their 3 kids is his most beloved activity of them all. So, Dr. Brian, welcome to the show, and thank you for being here.
Hey, Drew, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
you make
quick, you are interesting, which is why I wanted to talk to you. I think you got to give yourself more credit than you do. And a couple things I didn't mention. He also has a Norton Commando motorcycle, right? Yeah. So this is the motorcycle that I grew up hearing about from my father, because that's the motorcycle my father rode before he lost his sight. So add to the cool factor, Norton Commando.
Yeah, 68, frame up restoration, turns heads at Cook's Corners. Totally cool.
Yeah, I bet it does. Yeah. I still need to see a picture of that.
Yeah.
I've been to some like modern barber shops and stuff where they have a old cafe race like that and they just park it in the front window. You ought to have that in front of your office.
Yeah, it'd be cool to bring it in the office.
Yeah.
I have it parked outside sometimes.
Do you?
Yeah.
I keep missing it. So in case y'all haven't caught on, Dr. Brian is my chiropractor, but he is the 5th chiropractor that I've had in my foray into chiropractic treatment, and he is leagues ahead of the other chiropractors that I've been to. And it's just, he has a much greater capacity for healing and awareness of how to do so than I've experienced with other chiropractors I've been to. So we're going to get into that. But before we do, Dr. Brian, we were chatting last night just about some logistics for our conversation today. And you told me about something that happened yesterday. So can you tell us about that again for the show, about this woman that you adjusted and kind of what happened from there?
The home birth? Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, that was yesterday. I go back, to seeing myself from a, sports chiropractor to yesterday adjusting at home birth. My wife had 3 natural home births and I was glad enough to deliver my own children. So my experience goes back to 1994 and working with pediatrics and pregnancy since then. So I got a call yesterday.
Yeah, that's wild. And I want to hear more about that for sure. So yeah, tell us about what happened yesterday, and then let's go backwards to that.
Yeah, it's a great story. And I never thought I'd be doing that, right? But it comes with a lot of experience, but confidently enough. as we're treating pregnancies in the office, as you know, Drew, what you know well, if a patient's currently treating with us, I do home birth adjustments for free. A lot of people are like, oh, can we Venmo you? It's absolutely free. We're just, you know what, we're honored to be involved. And so yesterday, worked out during lunch hour, first time baby, 40, exactly 40 weeks, which is rare to be on time. And went over there at lunch hours, adjuster, what we would call a Gonstead adjustment, which is a pelvic adjustment. And freed
So
up the
that was,
sacrum.
you adjusted the mom.
Yeah, adjusting the mom during her labor.
Yeah.
Freed up the sacrum, adjusted L5. Baby started dropping. Mom had a pushing sensation. Midwife took over. I came back to work. And then at the end of my shift, from the 3 to 6 shift at night, I got another call that the baby aspirated meconium and was having breathing difficulties. So could I come back by again? So I went back by last night again. It did a thoracic adjustment on the baby, and he stimulated the upper thoracic spine. We auscultated the lungs. Baby was doing great. Took wonderful breaths. Ashy blue color went away. Filled the skin and with great color, and the baby's doing absolutely perfect right now.
That's
So that was
amazing.
yesterday on top of the regular visit.
All in a day's work, right?
Yeah,
Just saving babies is all.
it's fun.
And that actually ties into how you became my chiropractor, because my wife was introduced to you in your practice while she was, I think, heavily pregnant with our last child. And so
Yeah.
she started to get adjustments from you during her pregnancy, which she hadn't really experienced good chiropractic care during her last pregnancy, just because a lot of people are afraid to touch pregnant women. And then you also have adjusted our baby on many occasions.
Yes.
So you not only adjust pregnant women, but you apparently adjust children and babies as fresh as a couple hours old.
Yep. Yeah, 3 hours yesterday.
Yeah, that's wild. So, okay, so specialty in pediatrics, you delivered your own children. Most people wouldn't think chiropractor, child delivery. Obviously, you don't have to be a doctor to deliver a child, but it takes some degree of skill and preparation, right? So how did you end up in that position?
So yeah, no, I love that you said it, because a lot of people are intimidated to do that. But we use the Bradley coaching method, which is also known as husband coach birthing. And after taking that, what you do is, for what we chose anyway, we chose to have a midwife present. And my wife was doing a water birth. Everybody's like, oh, how do you do a water birth? It must be expensive to go get that tub. I bought it at Toys R Us.
Nice.
I have a video of her birthing with purple
kiddie pool.
Yeah, it was like purple turtles behind her. She's like pushing. So it's just like a kiddie pool.
I might have seen you there. I worked at Toys R Us back in the late 90s.
That's funny.
Yeah.
You probably remember that little pool.
Yeah.
We lived in a little condo in 1994, and I didn't have a way to check the temperature of the water. So I went down the association pool, took a thermometer out, put it in our little thing, got it to like 98 for her, between 98 and 100. She labored in that. And then I got in with her, and I was, proud enough to be able to catch my own baby. So, proudly everybody's like, oh, you delivered your own baby. I'm like, no, I didn't really deliver my kids, right?
Right.
We know that.
That's fair.
Natural wellness, right? We know that. My wife delivered our kids. I'm not taking
credit where it's due.
Not my kids.
Yeah.
My wife delivered our babies. So
you caught, but I reckon you must have done some coaching or something along the way to help her along.
Yeah, that was a great course, and I still recommend it to this day. The Bradley coaching method, husband coach childbirth, Bradley method.
Yeah, that's news to me. I didn't even know that was a thing where you can take a course in receiving your own baby.
I really feel like medicine's trying to monopolize birthing. They've made it almost a disease, right? To be pregnant. We even have an ICD-10 code for it. And when we're billing insurance, it's like, oh, it's a problem. It's not a problem. It can't be if it's not done right. But yeah, so I was in natural wellness. If there's no obstructions and there's no problems, then that's just what we chose to do. I work with Chalk, I work with UCI, I work with St. Joe's, I work with Hogue. So those are all great birthing experiences. Kaiser's actually stepped it up too. They're having, the grassroots has really pushed for a natural birthing experience. So guess what Kaiser has? They have midwives on staff. They have a doula on staff. So thanks to the marketplace. We actually
used Kaiser. We used Kaiser. So Kaiser, both of our kids were delivered at Kaiser. And
I bet it was a good experience, right?
It was. And, we had to kind of coach them on what we wanted, but they acquiesced to what we wanted. And, Kat, my wife, she delivers like a champ.
You don't want to go into a birth or pregnancy without having a birth plan.
Yep.
And you need to show that plan.
And Kat's so good. I probably could have, been there on the receiving end and not had anyone else, and she would have been fine because she's just so amazing at having babies.
Yeah, actually, I remember she started with me around 28 to 30 weeks. And we did some low back and hip adjustments and sacral stuff to make her head down and centered. And I love that because if you're head down and centered, you're going to put pressure on the internal part of the cervix, and you're going to efface well, and you're going to dilate well. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to have a good birth.
Yeah.
So she was in a good position for that. So if I can just help people have successful births, and our Yelp is full of stories where they were going to have C-sections, and then we were able to adjust them and coach them into a mentality and a physical body that accepted a birth, we're glad to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's amazing. So curiosity, and this is part of, what I want to spend a bunch of our time on today is, so adjusting pregnant women, adjusting babies, and then you treat a bunch of other things that I would never have thought of chiropractic as being a resource for treating these things like asthma, migraines, all kinds of these conditions that one wouldn't, people think, oh, my back hurts, my neck hurts, I'm going to the chiropractor, and it kind of ends there. How did you get there? Like, so you started back in chiropractic, 20 something years ago, what got you into chiropractic? How did you start as a chiropractor? Was it in more traditional, what people think of? And then, what brought you to where you are today?
That's a great question. And it's a good story too. So I don't mind sharing that. In high school, not a great student, didn't really care much about studies at all. I cared a lot about wrestling. I cared a lot about football and track and all that stuff. I was a pole vaulter. I was a wrestler. Won Southern California a couple times.
Okay.
And that's pretty much all I cared about. So going into my senior year, I'm undefeated at 147 in league, heading to state. And I was doing a simple bridging practice where the wrestlers lay on their back and they just roll back on their heads, that's called bridging.
Yep.
I was just doing a simple bridging practice and my neck folded. And when it bent, I couldn't get up. I literally couldn't move from here up, and I just couldn't even get up because my head was stuck. So I just laid there. I want to recall they were going to call the paramedics, but they didn't, or something like that. Anyway, we're heading into March, and now that's CIF, right? So we're heading to California Federation, and I'm seated number 1, and I can't move my head. So my mom thought I had a cramp, so she gave me Midol because I have a cramp. And then after that didn't work, she said, "Gosh, maybe I need to take you to a chiropractor."
Okay.
Didn't know what it was, never heard about it, but I was like, I will do anything at this point. So I had something called torticollis, which I didn't know what it was back then, also known as wry neck, but it's a slip disc in the neck where your bone is on the other side of the disc. It's also rotated, so you're usually stuck in a position like this. Now I treat that as infantile torticollis from birth trauma. I do that a lot now. But that's what I had as an 18-year-old. Anyway, went to this guy, Dr. John Bullers in Whittier. He gave me one adjustment. I got up and I was like, Drew, I was like, how did he do that with his hands?
Yeah.
Right? And it didn't take long. He just gave me an adjustment. I went back one more time. I just remember I went back one more time. I got another adjustment. It was amazing. I stood up. I said, I want to do this.
Wow. Just like that.
That was it. I was done. I was sold. I'll do it.
Good for you.
Yeah. It was cool. I mean, come on. Someone's healing me with his hands.
Yeah.
No drugs, no prescriptions, nothing dangerous. No side effects. I'm like, the side effect is wellness? I can turn my head. So I did end up going, and I did win. I lost the round before state, but I just was like, that guy helped me with my goal.
Yeah.
And it was immediate. It wasn't like I need to go, to PT 3 times a week for 8 weeks. That's right. It was, he adjusted me. I was well. So now I'm the modern day chiropractor. I take care of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I take these little kids and they hurt their neck. And I'm like, man, this is like full circle.
Throwback.
So I went from that to thinking like, okay, so chiropractic must be good for guys that wrestle, right? Yeah. That must be what it's good for.
Yeah.
And so
it is.
Which it is. But I was like focused on that. I'm going to be a sports chiropractor.
Okay.
So I actually did treat Olympians. I did treat in the Olympics. I do treat gold medal athletes, even into volleyball and everything like that. I was a New Zealand team chiropractor.
Really?
On the NBL circuit. So I'm focused, right? I'm like, oh, sports chiropractic. And then I get into the chiropractic, and some lady handed me her kid when I was a young chiropractor. I remember being like 27 years old, and she's like, can you fix his colic? Chiropractic worked for his older sibling. I was like, wow, really? So I remember, not really confidently knowing what to do. Then I had my daughter, Chanel, who's 29 years old right now. And I was like, you know what? I want her to have a pediatric chiropractor. So when my daughter was born, I wasn't even her chiropractor.
Oh,
I actually
okay.
took her to a pediatric chiropractor.
Okay. Yeah.
Here I am, a chiropractor, not bad at it, but I wasn't confident in the area.
Sure.
And I'm like, to be
Don't want
honest
to
with
mess
you,
up your kid.
I'm going to take her to a pediatric chiropractor.
This episode is brought to you by the Hack Your Sleep program. Are you tired of feeling drained, struggling to stay focused throughout the day? Is low energy impacting your work and your relationships? So many of our clients at Primal Wellness Coaching used to be there too, until we introduced them to the simple steps in the Hack Your Sleep program. And guess what? As a Superhuman Blueprint podcast listener, we are going to give you access to this program absolutely free. This program isn't just about getting more sleep, it's about getting better sleep. Imagine falling asleep quickly and having nights filled with deep, restorative sleep. Say goodbye to those restless nights and wake up refreshed every day. These proven techniques will help you relax, clear your mind, and drift off into that peaceful embrace of sleep faster and keep you there longer. Even if you don't have time to add hours to your sleep schedule, you don't have to sleep more just to sleep better. But don't take my word for it. Join the Hack Your Sleep program and become part of the community of well-rested, energized individuals. Go to hackyoursleep.net and use code SUPERHUMAN to get this sleep improvement program completely free. That's hackyoursleep.net, code SUPERHUMAN to start sleeping better tonight.
I'm going to do what I'm good at.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be my daughter's chiropractor, so I became good at chiropractic for pediatrics. I got globally certified by the International Association in 1997, and I just haven't looked back.
No kidding. So your first foray into pediatric chiropractics was because you wanted to be able to treat your own daughter.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yep. Yep. And like you see now in the office, it looks like a preschool in here.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
You've
Kid
got
everywhere, strollers everywhere.
Yeah, you got
kids running
all
around.
the kid stuff in the corner. You got the whole like room with the kids' table and the the mural and everything.
Room, it's so for me now, like a chiropractic's a joy. I was adjusting, Olympic athletes. I did Raiders, Rams, USC, UCLA, San Diego Chargers, a lot of those guys, and I still like that stuff.
Mhm.
And I still do treat Olympians. I just won't go to the Olympics. I'm not going to put myself in that venue because my circle's bigger than that now. So I went from thinking it was good for athletes only to, oh my gosh, I can't believe this job I have is so well versed. Like I have my favorite case on the screen. I want to go over it with you in a few minutes, but when we're adjusting children for asthma and they get off of their inhaler, when we're adjusting for scoliosis and colic, and then parents can sleep through the night and now they can actually go back and sleep together because literally they're sleeping separated from each other. So one can sleep, one go to work. It's that bad. People are crying, they're fighting, they're arguing, their kid is unhealthy. They don't know what to do. And it comes down to an adjustment of the sacrum. It's a joy to be able to help those kinds of cases. Acid reflux has been a big one because birthing techniques have changed and baby's halfway out and the doctors are asking them, go ahead and rest, take a breath. Mike, let's finish pushing because you're subluxating the thoracic spine of the baby when you rest when it's halfway out. Yeah, they want to check it. They want to bulb suction it out. That's not a time for them. This is a time for the baby. And with respect to the baby, it needs to finish pushing, quit interrupting the mom's birthing process. So I might be picky about all that kind of stuff, but I'm seeing the damage here in my office.
Right. So
get me started.
What are why do kids need to be adjusted? Like what are some common things that you need to treat when you have babies, toddlers, children come into your office?
Yeah. So the most common thing that we do for babies and children would be ears, sinuses, breathing, acid reflux, and pooping. So colic.
Okay.
Now, if we can keep their ears draining and not getting backed up or infected and blowing out the eardrum, if I can keep their sinuses draining internally down the lymphatic system, if I can keep the acid below the diaphragm, and if I can keep their colon squeezing and exiting the way it's supposed to do, you won't even know you're a pediatrician unless he's trying to give you a vaccine commercial. You won't even know him. You'll be so. I have pediatricians calling my patients' homes going, what happened to you guys? Did you move? Like, where are you? They're like, oh, we just haven't been sick.
If you're taking proper care of yourself, which can include, preventive care with chiropractic, then you really don't need what your general practitioner would have to offer, which is usually, like you said, sick care, right? It's when you get sick, come see me and we'll give you something for that. Sure.
And I've had this sensation lately, this realization that culturally, people are addicted to having a medical doctor for their baby. They're addicted to having a pediatrician.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's assumed. And I love emergency medicine, right? I love emergency medicine. I think it's great. Got a lot of friends working in ER, a lot of friends that work at the Bob Sears, friend of mine. I knew his
Really?
dad, Bill.
We've
Yeah,
yeah,
knew.
he's
I knew his dad really well,
we've
actually. His dad used to
doc,
send me tons of patients, and then
Dr. Bob's our guy.
Me and Dr. Fleiss used to work together all the time.
No way.
And
Yeah.
I'm probably in between Bob's age and his dad's age, right? I'm
Okay.
37, so
Yeah.
I'm kind of bridging the gap between the two of them. Great guys. However, I still am okay with disagreeing with them on one thing,
Uh-huh.
and that is that medicine is crisis oriented. Medicine is, and we're so thankful for crisis care, right? Like, we live in America. This is wonderful. You can get crisis care in an instant, where some parts of the world you're just going to die.
Yeah.
Literally just going to die. So wonderful stuff. But crisis care does not belong in health care. So people are like, well, that's the same thing. No, it's not. No, it's not. Don't come in my office. You're having a heart attack. You're bleeding. Don't come in here. You're right. We don't do that. And they don't do what we do.
Yep.
So I don't do what they do. They don't do what we do. Matter of fact, there was a great case in 1988 that put a delineation between the two. And that was when patients were going to medical doctors saying they were going to the chiropractor, and the medical doctor would say, yeah, don't go to that chiropractor. You don't need to get chiropractic. And so enough
Lovely.
chiropractors got fed up of this monopoly in healthcare that they actually sued the American Medical Association, that is the AMA, Wilkes versus et al. So WILKS versus et al. They sued the AMA, and they sued every state association. So obviously they got a lot of money, a lot of defense attorneys. So they put a good defense. It went all the way to the Supreme Court of Appeals. And guess who won? 3 little chiropractors won against the American Medical Association.
No way.
And they are barred from speaking. Yeah, check it out. They are barred from speaking against chiropractic. And you know what? That's how it should be. They don't have a license to practice chiropractic. So let's say you have like a simple thyroid prescription, and you come in to see me, and I'm like, hey, you shouldn't take that thyroid medication. Guess what I just did? I just practiced medicine. I'm not allowed to practice medicine. That's not my thing. It's not my lane.
Yep.
Well, their lane's not chiropractic. And if you have a subluxation and you have nerve interference in your body, and your body's not working well, they might see the symptom, but I know the cause.
Right.
And they can't tell you not to get adjusted, says the Supreme Court. So we call out doctors all over Orange County, San Diego, and LA, and we actually call their offices, and we tell them not to do that again, and we send them the court paperwork.
Wow.
We're not playing, right? This isn't a game. We're standing our ground. Plus, I'll make the referral when appropriate.
Yeah, that's fair.
Fair.
Yep.
It's fair. And we work together. That's how we respect each other. I don't do what they do, and they don't do what I do.
But again, one of the things that really surprised me the most in talking to you, and kind of just seeing some of the information available in your office, is that chiropractic does a lot more than I thought. Right? Like I grew up heavily asthmatic, and I'm 40. I didn't know that you can treat asthma with chiropractic care until I was in your office.
I saw your X-ray.
Yeah. Yeah, and then even with my kid, you were adjusting the baby, and you're like, "Hey, when do you guys have asthma?" I'm like, "Oh, this is me."
Yeah. And people are like, why is asthma hereditary? Well, not necessarily the condition of the symptom or the contraction of the bronchial tube with the smooth muscle cells, which is found rarely in your body, but your structure is, right? So people are like, hey, scoliosis runs in the family. Yeah, your alignment does, your posture does, your hair color, eye color, skin color, height. So those are some of the traits we pass on. So if you have misalignments in your spine due to a pattern of pelvic unleveling or just a pattern of scoliosis that's even mild, okay, so you're going to mildly interfere with the nervous system. It shows up in different ways. So that's what that's what we're good at,
So how does it work? So you adjust me. So when I go in there, you treat me I got a lot of neck and back problems that you take care of for me, but you throw in the asthma adjustment. So how does that work? Like, how do you adjust for asthma?
Yeah, great question. So asthma, if you look at the bronchial tube in the lungs and how they respond, it's part of the autonomic nervous system. So it's part of the autonomic nervous system, which means it's automatic and you're not in control of whether it happens or not. So smooth muscle cells are only found in a few places in our body. They're around arteries. They're on the hair cells connected to your hair cells in your body, the hair, little follicle that stands up. You people go, oh, I got goosebumps or dimples. That's a one smooth muscle cell pulling that follicle up. It's found in your bladder, and it's found and it's found surrounding the bronchial tube.
Okay.
So it's a smooth muscle. So we know it's connected to the nervous system because muscles get their contraction from the nervous system. And so what we do is we go, hey, which nerve innervates the bronchial tube? Okay, thoracic 1 and 2. Does Drew have a subluxation, quote, misalignment in thoracic 1 and 2? Yes, he does. This is how hard it is. Yes, he does. The X-ray shows a misalignment. Ask the patient if they have asthma in the past or if they have a breathing restriction for shortness of breath. Yes, I do. Correlation. Adjust T1, T2. Asthma's gone. I breathe better. My inhaler's gone. Keep it around for emergencies. It's a good thing, but it's not treatment. So that's how you correct the cause of it. You take away the nervous system interference. Now the little smooth muscle cells surrounding the bronchial tube doesn't contract anymore, decreasing the diameter of the airway. So now you can breathe.
That's wild.
I mean,
Do
does
you
the inhaler
think?
toxify the muscle and kind of temporarily paralyze it so you can breathe again? Yeah, great emergency device. But I'll tell you what, I got a little girl in my office named Poppy. She came here at 5 years old because her friend died. Her 5-year-old friend, and this is no last names, but because of HIPAA. But I'll tell you this: her little friend was at her grandma's house. The parents went out to dinner. She's just doing date night, and the 5-year-old had an asthma attack at grandma's house. The inhaler did not work. The grandma's obviously destroyed. The parents are distraught, and the little 5-year-old's dead.
Yeah.
So what I say is, the inhaler is a great emergency device, and it can be life saving, but not always.
Yeah.
You're going to rely on the inhaler. You're going to rely on that, not on your body's ability. You're going to leave the cause of the problem not fixed, but you're going to treat the symptom. I don't know. Good luck with that.
Yeah, I mean, in general medicine, aside from, your daily inhaler, there's no treatment or cure for asthma.
Yeah.
You know?
And what I'm saying too is like, people are like, you called it a cause. It causes that. Well, yes, it does. It's the actual neurological cause of a contraction of the bronchial tube, change the diameter of the bronchial tube. Therefore, air can't come in or out very well. So when we adjust the nervous system, or when we adjust thoracic 1 and 2 bones, and it releases pressure on the nervous system, the body gets well. I don't know what you call that. I don't know.
Right.
We hate to call it a treatment because I'm not treating the lungs. I'm not treating the bronchial tube. I'm not treating the smooth muscle cells. I'm removing nervous system interference. So we really only treat a subluxation. Chiropractors are good at adjusting and correcting alignment. And what happens after that is the body's ability to heal or not.
Right.
So daily I rely on that. I work, like you said, I go to church. I believe in God's ability to make. We're wonderfully made, but we're not made with scoliosis. That was not the intention. People were like, well, yeah, I was. Look at my X-ray. I'm made with that. That's not the intention. That's not the original design. That's not the thought. You're wonderfully thought of. There's good plans for you, but that was not the idea for you to suffer like that.
Yep.
So I get to work with people's bodies, and I get to work with and make things better. Let's move it along to what it was supposed to be. Let's go towards the ideal situation in your wellness, right? Like with you, with getting healthy.
Yeah.
People are like, well, I would work out if I felt like it. People are massive fatigue. People can barely do a squat. Their knees are killing them. Their pelvis is clicking. Like, I always have that pop. I blew a disc out. Like, heart disease may be the number one killer of men and women, but low back pain is the number one cause of heart disease because they stop moving.
Right.
So this is the beginning foundation for a lot of health. This chiropractic, basic health should start with normal anatomy. Like, let's fix you so you can move on to higher level things.
There's some pretty
half marathons.
Yeah. There's
But
some
you gotta
pretty
be able to move. Things have to be working.
right.
I do a talk called the 100-Year Lifestyle. You know how you get to 100
Really?
years? Yeah. You know how you get there? Don't die.
Okay.
Just don't die. So why are people dying? Because their bodies stop working. They don't feed their nervous system. They don't have proper nutrition. I got gentlemen entering early dementia. Their B12 is so low. They're not even supplementing their foods. They haven't lifted a weight, like obviously you do. You haven't lifted a weight a long time. Can you run an 8-minute mile? I'm 57. Yeah, I can.
It's pretty staggering what
That's a big marker.
It is. For sure it is. And they say grip strength is a metric of how well you're aging, right? That's such a simple metric, but it's so interesting. And there's a lot of statistics out there and a lot of data that kind of ties into this, right? The more you move, the more you lift things that are heavier than, the sandwich in front of you, and the more you move your.
So I do a lot of corporate wellness talks in Orange County throughout a lot of companies here. Blizzard being one of them, a lot of big ones. You would like the class that I do called Eat Well, Move Well, Think Well.
Yeah.
So and James Chestnut wrote that book, Eat Well, Move Well, Think Well. It's chiropractor, big in nutrition. And it really covers the different aspects of our life, the nutritional aspects of your life, your physicality. How's your body? What do you look like? Do you have level pelvis, level femur heads? Do you have any misalignments? So it covers the structure of your body, move well. And then no stinking thinking, right? Like you gotta think well. And you've probably seen in my office, we take care of a lot of Muslims. A lot of women come in here with the hijab on, and everybody's like, wow, I thought you were a Christian. I am. And they trust me to take good care of them. Because it's one thing that we both agree on is that 1, there's a God, 2, he cares for you, and 3, he's got good plans for you. We're 100% in agreement with Irvine Mosque. So that's why you see a lot of people coming in here from different parts of the world. And if you just have a place to put all your stress beside yourself,
Yeah.
right? That's a healthy move.
Yep. Yeah. You got to get your body in working order, and then you got to use your body, and then you can live.
A long time.
That's my plan. And that's a moment for me that was a little bit of a turning point. And I've always been relatively healthy, right? I've been doing martial arts for a long time. I eat pretty well. But what really got me into wellness and fitness and kind of dedicating a significant portion of my life to this pursuit was when my first son, Kaio, was born. I was 36, 37. When my second son was born, I'm already about 40. And I'm thinking, okay, when this kid is my age, I'm going to be 80. Like, I don't want to be a decrepit 80-year-old. If he waits to have kids until he's as old as I waited, like, I want to be spry. I want to be able to run after my grandkids and play with
Yeah.
them and, have a good time. I don't want to be decrepit and stuck on the couch and crusty because I don't
Yeah.
feel good.
I love that you're forecasting that, because between here and there's work to be done.
Yeah.
Health, fair health, just getting along, being okay is pretty automatic, but great health is available. So why not
Yep.
shoot for that?
Yep.
And that
So you-
requires effort and knowledge, and it requires you have a good team around you.
Yep. Well, that's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
So you are the fifth chiropractor that I've kind of used in my time since I first got into chiropractic. And 3 of the 5, really, they all did the same thing. Like, it was just your general, you go in there and they give you the same adjustment every time. Like, and all
Yeah.
3 of them did the same adjustments every time. And then the 4th one, he was pretty out there. Like, he didn't even do like hard adjustments. He used these like thumper gun things. But you're the first one that you're of. So number 5 in line here, you're the first one actually come up with a plan for me and say, this is how we are going to fix something that's wrong or to significantly improve something that's wrong. First of all, you said we need to identify specifically what's wrong.
Yeah.
And then once you did, you said, okay, here is the plan on how we are going to make this type of improvement to what's going on.
Yeah.
Nobody ever did that before. And
Wow.
literally in like 30 seconds of meeting, you looked at me, you said, I think your left leg's shorter than your right leg. You touched my hips. You're like, yeah, I'm pretty sure, but let's take an x-ray to confirm. You took the x-ray. Sure enough, I'm 9 millimeters shorter on the left side than on the right side.
Yeah.
Never knew that in my entire life. Only
Wow.
one of the other 4 chiropractors took x-rays and he didn't see that. And you said to me, if a chiropractor doesn't verify using x-ray or whatever means is necessary for the situation at hand, they're guessing and they're treating what they're
Yeah.
guessing.
Yeah. So I remember telling you that too. I was like, if you lay face down on a table and the chiropractor goes down the table and checks your leg length, right, without having an x-ray, that's literally from like 1950.
Okay.
And there was some good adjustments being done back then. If it wasn't for the earlier chiropractors, we wouldn't be where we're at today, right?
Yeah.
Look at social media, it's going off with chiropractic. But what we have learned, what we've studied, what we've seen is the cerebellum and the way the cerebellum acts on the body in a vertical plane. So then why aren't we starting with the level pelvis? And if you do have a short leg, I measure by millimeters and we give you the exact difference in your leg. And then like we did with you, we asked you, what do you want me to do for you, right? Like, you're the patient.
Yep.
I actually went after the first visit, from the day of the first visit, I literally worked for you. So what do you want from me?
Yeah.
And that's the plan.
Right.
You want 12 visits? You want relief care? You want to be able to turn your head again? Okay, I got that.
Yep.
You want to live a long time? Oh, okay, I got that. We'll do that too.
Yep.
But you got to want it.
Right.
So we come up with a plan so that our relationship is fluid together and that we're in agreement. And I think that's the best doctoring you can have, being in agreement with your doctor.
Yeah, absolutely.
We saw
And
through the pandemic, right? We saw through the pandemic, people are not in agreement with their doctor. They're
right.
firing their doctors are firing them because people aren't even honored anymore. People aren't even respected anymore.
Nope.
And so the respect is to me as the doctor, the respect is to you as a patient coming to me asking for help. Well, let me show you what
it goes
can
both
do.
ways. It definitely goes both ways.
That's great when it does. I don't look for that, but I respect you coming in asking for help. Heck, I went to school I'm like, I want to adjust people. I want to help people. And when they
Yeah.
walk in, they're God sent. People like are literally sent here by God for me to do the thing that I wanted to do my whole life. So I'm just like so honored by that. But what do you want me to do? I need to know what you want me to do.
But it really does go both ways, right? Because, part of my treatment plan was you wanted to get a little aggressive, right? You're like, hey, I want to see you 3 times a week for 12 weeks. Like, that's a lot of chiropractic visits,
It is.
it's a financial commitment. It's a time commitment.
And I
And
should be able
it's
to justify it and show you as to why.
right. And you have to have earned my trust enough for me to say, okay, I trust you to make this worth my while.
Yeah.
So that respect definitely goes both ways.
Yeah. I like stating my case. Like, here's what you brought me. Here's what's going on. Here's how they correlate. Here's what I can do for you. And then now, would you like that?
Yep.
And then we come up with, like you said, a plan, which is an important part of healthcare, is have a plan. And then I have a plan for everybody for the day they start, for the first 12 visits. The 36 visits big for me, right? Because that's when I take my first x-ray to
Yep.
compare back to back, like first and second. And
Literally
then
back to
I got a
back.
5-year, 10-year plan for you too. I think of you way down the road. Drew wants to play with his kids when he's 80. Okay, let's make it happen.
Yeah.
I got a grandbaby coming in late
Yeah, you
February,
do.
early March.
I
And
know.
yeah, I want to be very active, and participate in that life for a long time.
Yep.
Then I have certain things I need to do.
Yep. And I will just say for everyone listening that you over delivered. So the corrections that you said you could make, you did that and then some. So
That was exciting. I remember that case.
per our follow up X-ray.
Yeah.
So you treat like someone's got a cold or like a head cold or some other just like regular thing. Like
Yeah.
what are you doing? Like we come in, we got a cold, we come in, we get adjusted. So what are you doing?
Yeah. Were you here during the pandemic? I think you were.
No, tail end, right? I just started with you late last year.
So during the COVID, the pandemic, our office literally had a line going out the door. People were sitting on that block wall out there. And
Wow.
it was impressive, but it almost hard to keep up. People had two things. One, they had a need to get well, and they actually had some time to themselves. So what did they turn to? They turned to chiropractic. And so why is that? It goes back to our ancestors. It goes back to grandpa, grandma, it goes back to mom and dad. People are like, well, my mom and dad took me to a chiropractor when I was a kid. My family doesn't get the flu shot, but we've always gone to get adjusted. So there's a groundswell of word of mouth of chiropractic over the last 118 years, and there's a trust in it, but the trust is really in their own ability to get well. So chiropractic. So there was a study done on it, like, how is this working? Why do people go in and their immune systems get well, and why are chiropractic kids look different, live better, healthier, non-vaccinated, so clear? Why are chiropractic kids so different? And chiropractic kids, my kids, kids that get chiropractic. And they did a study on it, and they actually did before and after blood work. And they found out that there's a 200% improvement in your immune system if you are adjusted. And that's not
No
once,
way.
but if you're well adjusted, if
No
your spine
way.
is corrected, your nervous system is not interfered with, and your quote power is turned on, 200%.
That's nuts.
Go back to that's the Mexican flu. When people were getting adjusted, they're the ones that lived the most. That was 1918. So during the pandemic, and I'm kind of glad I got to see that it happened again, where chiropractic came through by removing interference so the bodies can get well. It's a virus. You can get over it.
Yeah.
Do we coach them on C, D, and E vitamins? Yeah, of course we do. People that had complications were the lowest ones in D. So yes, we coach on nutrition because our foods don't have the stuff it should have because it's cooked, it's grown in the same fields over and over again. So
Right.
the soil is not as rich as it should be. And you just take supplements for that. You can make up for it. You can buy organic, you can buy some supplements. It's your best investment. So what turned out to be, a higher return on your money wasn't the vaccine. I think we all know that. We saw the outcome of that.
Yeah,
State of
it's been
Florida is
long
actually
enough that
including
I think if even the diehard, go with what the government's telling you, folks have started to see that maybe that wasn't the way.
Yeah, and Pfizer's being sued by the state of Florida for over-promising, under-delivering on the vaccine.
Yeah.
And it's okay. We know that the vaccines sometimes they don't always work and that there's side effects with it, but you should at least have a choice.
Right.
And that's where the people were disrespected. And so chiropractic has always been a choice. People are choosing chiropractic. I'm proud of that. I'm glad of that. Glad to be a chiropractor that can be here on with you talking about this. And a chiropractor that has an office full of people where it's just families return again and again. I'm treating my children's children now.
Yeah.
And it's literally a dream come true for me. It really is. The practice is a dream.
That's amazing. And I feel like not enough people know that chiropractic can have such a broad impact. Again, like I think the general perception is it's good for your back and your neck, maybe, some joints or something. But I don't know that people really know you can do all of this with chiropractic. And that's actually my question for you, because again, you're number 5 in my long line of chiropractors that I've been to. And many of these chiropractors I went to for a long time, they never said anything about that. Do you think these other chiropractors? Do you think it's common knowledge amongst the chiropractic community that you can
You
do
know, in
all
the
of these
circles
things?
I'm in, it does, right? Like
Okay.
that's the circle I turn in. I feel like it's assumed people know that. But if I go back to where I was at before chiropractic as a kid, I didn't know either, you know?
Yeah.
But for example, like UCLA football's they got a game this Saturday, the LA Bowl. And so yesterday I went from treating a mom who was pregnant at my lunch hour. I came here at 2:45 actually, treated a UCLA football player. And then at 6 o'clock, I went back to treat a 3-hour-old baby.
Right.
So how is that? It's the same principle. If there is a misalignment, we can help. And so I don't care how old you are, or how young you are. If you have a misalignment, we can help.
Right.
If you don't have a misalignment, then it's not chiropractic. There's nothing I can do. I treat misalignments,
Right.
and then I remove the interference on the nervous system, and that allows your body to be as healthy as possible to whatever your ability is.
Right.
If we need to increase your ability, then we'll do your blood work, we'll do your nutrition, we'll send you to Drew, right? We'll increase that ability, but the potential is there.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of these other chiropractors are not
I think they
advertising that
settle. I think we've sold ourselves for back pain, like
yeah.
neck pain, back pain, headaches.
Right.
And that's an okay market. There's a lot of neck pain, back pain, headaches. And it is nice to even impact lives, even just through those three simple things. But it's so much more than that, right? It's so
Right.
much more than that. But you have to be, I think, almost called into that market. And
Okay.
if you're not, then maybe just stay out of it. Just
Yeah,
do neck pain, back pain, headaches.
I guess that's what they're doing because that's what I got out of my prior experience, and
Can I show you my favorite case?
Yeah, let's look at that.
Let's do this real quick. One of the things I think you were asking me about was asthma. And so out of the 24 bones in the spine here, if we just go to the 7 cervical vertebrae and we drop down to thoracic number 1 and then thoracic number 2, and if we hit thoracic number 2, these things pop up on the board.
Okay.
Okay. And so then what we do is we go back to the consultation form or the intake form. And I'm like, oh, you didn't write down shortness of breath, bronchitis, or asthma, but you also didn't write down heart palpitations. So just in case there is some miscommunication, do you happen to have any heart palpitations, dysarrhythmias? And they're like, well, yeah, once in a while. I was like, okay, mark that down. Ever been diagnosed with asthma before? Yeah, when I was a kid. Okay, well, most likely you still have it. You're just a grown adult. Your bronchial diameter has changed, so you don't notice it anymore. Well, I have it exercise induced. Oh, so when you push yourself. So how do you manage that? Well, I just don't push myself.
Yeah.
Right?
That was my
stay below the bar.
solution when I was a kid.
Yeah, I just stay below the bar. I don't get healthy anymore. I just
Yeah.
walk. Well, that's not impressive. So if it's a T2 subluxation, then I'm adjusting T2.
Okay.
And then those things get better because we remove the interference. The body can have the potential health that it's been waiting to have the whole time. But
Yep.
if you do have nervous system interference and you have restrictions on the body, yeah, you can treat those chemically. And again, emergency medicine is great at that. Thank God for that kind of stuff. But even another elevated step would be to combine chiropractic. Let's get you adjusted.
Yep.
And your body's not working. Like, what's wrong with your body? Let's
Right.
fix it.
Yeah.
So I'll go
Again,
to my case. I'll go to my case.
yeah, let's see it.
You get me started. Okay. So this one here, I have permission to share this story here
Okay.
because it's a great story. This person wants to reach out to other people. Can you see that X-ray well?
I can. Yep.
So here's an X-ray of somebody that came in and they have an 18-degree scoliosis and they have a 7-degree left short leg. So as an educational point, I'm on faculty with 2 chiropractic colleges. This is what we call a basic scoliosis. Okay, simple basic.
Okay.
It has a unlevel pelvis, 7 millimeters short left side, and a scoliosis to the short side.
Okay.
Watch the math on this. I don't know why this is so hard. We're going to put a 7 millimeter lift in the left leg. We're going to lift the left side and we're going to adjust into the subluxation right here. 18 degrees.
Yep.
So if we come back over here real quick, we're going to touch L3 and we're going to say anything that's showing up on this board isn't working as good as it could.
Okay.
All right. So
What
do
are
you
we
have
looking
going
at
on
there? What's that
So
blinking?
what's going on, right? If you were to see this person, see them walk in the office, you would say to yourself, and this is a South County case that came up here, you would say to yourself, oh, must be a model, probably a yoga instructor.
Okay.
Talk to her for 30 seconds. She's crying, just crying. We're talking chronic low back pain, chronic constipation, 3 miscarriages.
Wow.
You didn't come here for her low back pain. She didn't come here for constipation.
Yeah.
She came here because her husband sent her here so they could have a baby.
Wow.
Right? So people are like, what do you mean chiropractic infertility? Well, no, not chiropractic and infertility, chiropractic making the body work again. Because if you don't
Yeah.
have progesterone, if you don't have follicle stimulating hormone, if you don't have luteinizing hormone, you're not making an egg, you're not kicking that egg out of the nest, and you're not lining the uterus so it can implant itself. You're just not. So what we do, we come over here and we see this and we just go, okay, here's the subluxations, there's a chronic constipation, and this is a giant megablosm. That's an air bubble. Chronic gas pain because this is fermenting.
Huh.
The bowel's not moving fast enough, so the bowels are fermenting, causing gas to rise.
Wow.
So then what do we do with this? We go to the plan. Hey, what would you like me to do for you? You want me to fix your back pain? She's like, well, that would be wonderful, but I really would prefer to have a baby.
Today's episode is brought to you by PowerPlate. Vibration therapy, usually delivered through platforms like PowerPlate, offers a wide range of potential benefits for physical health and well-being. I'm talking enhanced muscle strength, improved circulation and blood flow, increased flexibility and range of motion, faster recovery from soreness and injury, and one of the coolest benefits, which is leveraged even by astronauts, is enhanced bone density. How cool is that? For me personally, any workout I do while standing stationary is done on my PowerPlate vibration platform. PowerPlate uses something called triplanar vibration, which is superior to other vibration platforms. It's really interesting. When I stand on it, it almost feels like gravity increased, like I'm being pulled towards the ground, which puts a unique spin on doing your traditional bodyweight workout movements like squats and push-ups and really anything you can do while standing still. So pick up your PowerPlate at powerplate.com/primal and use code PRIMAL for 20% off the PowerPlate vibration platform. Again, that's powerplate.com/primal. Use code PRIMAL for 20% off. Yeah.
Okay, then we need to correct your alignment. I don't need to affect it. I don't need to stretch you. You don't need to see my massage therapist here in the office. I need to correct your alignment then. And so we've got some work to do.
Yep.
And that's kind of like where we went with you. We were like, hey, look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, I can
It's
help
a very
you.
similar story, minus all of the, her situation. The result of that was much worse for her than for me.
I
just
love
had
corrective
pain.
care. You know, people are like, well, once you go to the chiropractor, you always have to go to the chiropractor. You know, once you go to the chiropractor, you could hit a certain level of health and you could choose to maintain that level. I maintain my teeth by brushing them. I take care of my health by exercising, right? I'm going to the gym Saturdays, my son. I take my vitamins, right? You've helped me a ton. So what do we do with chiropractic? Well, once you get fixed, a double-blind study says come in once a month, do what you did to get fixed. One, because gravity sucks, don't let it win, right? So there's going to be gravitational forces on your body. Do you want to oppose those or not? So here's what we did. This was great. This is a great case.
Wow. So
36 visits, 1.5 degrees. I would call that corrective care, right? So we leveled the pelvis with a 7mm lift.
okay.
You know, there's nothing I can do about a short leg. Heck, I got two of them. You know that. So we level the pelvis. We adjust it on this side. We lay the person on their side after an adjustment because I just moved the bone. Now we lay them on the side on a scoliosis table and we hold that in place because I'm actually stretching ligaments and remodeling cartilage. If I can stretch the ligament on the short side, remodel the disc cartilage, and level the pelvis, guess what's going to happen? We're going to win. So what do we see on this x-ray? I see intestines. We can finally see the intestines. She's not bloated anymore. She's not constipated anymore. Where'd the megablosm go? It's about the size of a quarter, which is what it should be.
Huh.
How old's the baby? 4 years old.
No way. What a great story.
So that's chiropractic for me. That's what I enjoy. That's what gets me out of bed every day, right? After 29 years in practice, people are like, how do you stay pumped up? I know someone's going to walk in like this, right? Someone's going to come in and be like, can you help me? Yes, I can help. Yeah, you look like you have a misalignment. Let me show you what I can do. And then we get to work.
So real
Everybody's
quick,
adjustment's different too. No one's adjustment's the same. No, I don't give that adjustment to other people. That's her adjustment.
right.
You know, you've seen some really big guys here too. Like the guy yesterday was like 6'7". So it's not me against the body. It's me against the bone. Are you misaligned?
Yep.
Let me show you where it's at. Let me see what I can do. Let's get to work.
So just real quick, for those of you that are on the audio only version of this, I definitely recommend you pop over to YouTube and check out the video version so that you can see the before and after on this x-ray, because it's pretty amazing.
And that's what I like too, is I'm proud to say that we have a good enough technique in chiropractic. What technique means the way I adjust, right? The way I thrust, the way I push, how we go about adjusting the spine, where we can get pre and post evidence. And I would really encourage, and I do teach and encourage, like you've seen a lot of chiropractic students in my office, I teach and encourage them to have a model where there's best practices, where there's an outcome assessment.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's an investment. You're going to give me two things that are important to you. You're going to give me time and money. I need to come through for you.
Yep.
And so we do.
Yeah. In my prior chiropractic experience, the only reassessment I ever get is when they need to, check my insurance again. And so
Right?
I
Yeah.
got to fill
Yeah.
out that form for insurance. That's it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's a good example. And then after something like that, come in once a month, get well, stay well. They learn the philosophy, which we haven't even touched on yet. And I'll share the philosophy with you, but when you want to do that, but it works for people. They send people in. That's why we're busy. I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm not an HMO. You're not forced to come here. I'm, every day I'm humbled when we open the door and there's people coming in. We're a choice.
Yep.
And we have to have great results for people to choose us over and over again. In 2024, we celebrate our 30th anniversary, and to have a thriving office after 30 years is just a joy. But it's only because chiropractic is that good.
That's
Chiropractic
awesome.
is good. And
Yeah.
it's been done for over 100 years.
That's amazing. 30th anniversary.
Thank you.
Congrats. That's
I'm
awesome.
excited.
All right. So yeah, tell me about the philosophy, and then I kind of got a final question for you that I want to dig in on a little bit.
Yeah. And the philosophy is what hit me when I was young.
Okay.
I don't know how far we go into that. So I went to La Habra High School in 1985 is when I graduated.
Okay.
And you'd be like, oh yeah, the 80s, right? Dude, there was a lot of drugs in the 80s. What is going on? There was a lot. You go to my high school yearbook and you open it up and there's a strike and there's a striking thing happening. The one that you take for your senior year and everybody takes a picture.
Yep.
So there was a big poster, a big sign that they drew at the top and it said, line them up. I think you know what that means. So cocaine for high schoolers in the 80s? Oh yeah, right? It's a thing. So then you look for Brian in the stands. Where's Brian? I'm the little dork holding a sign that said God rules. And so I just was never drawn to that.
Yeah.
Right? No judgment there. I just personally, for me, I was never drawn to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so when I go in with a problem and he fixes me with his hands, that's a dream come true for a person with my thinking, right? Like I didn't take anything. Like what's today's pediatrician teaching children? Well, if you shoot something, drink something, pop something, that's your way to health.
Yeah.
Oh, so when I have a problem, I'll just shoot something, drink something, take something. I had a girl that was that went to Foothill High School that thought she'd have a really good prom night, but she wanted to have an extra good prom night. So she just followed the outside in philosophy. The philosophy of I want to feel good, be good. So I'll just take something. She died in her prom dress. She died in her prom dress.
Jeez.
So that philosophy is not going to take you far. So when I discovered some guy could adjust me, and then I go back for my second adjustment, I'm like, hey, how does this work? He's like, oh, it's a philosophy called above, down, inside out, ADIO.
Okay.
So from above, down, inside out. That's spiritually. How about anatomically? How about neurologically? From above, down, inside out. So from above, down, inside out. So your brain is communicated to your organs at all times. Just touch your skin and you'll feel something. There's something called a safety pin cycle. We've learned that was 1910. We've learned now that there's an afferent fiber and there's an efferent fiber. Nerves are coming from your brain to your body, but they're also returning.
Okay.
So medicine is broken up into hypers and hypos because part of that cycle is broken. And if the thyroid doesn't receive the turn on signal, it's going to keep receiving back the not on signal. So you end up with a hyper. And so if you just look at diarrhea, constipation, fever, chills, right? So all these different things, medicine is hyper, hypo, too much, too little.
Yep. Right.
And chiropractic's like, hey, instead of something from the outside in, like, taking a vaccine or drinking some medicine or popping a pill outside in to be healthy, what about inside out? So inside out requires us to ask if there's an interference in your normal neurological function. So like what I just shared, and like yours, Drew, like there was a misalignment of the spine.
Yep.
And so we remove the misalignment by quote adjusting, take pressure off the nervous system, and now we got above, down, inside out, non-interfered with. So what's the result of that? Health.
Yep.
What's the result of doing that time and time again over years? Maintenance, wellness, longevity. And then there's other things mixed in with it. But that is my personal foundation. That's the part that I add to it.
Yep.
And the philosophy of chiropractic, again, is contrasted with medicine. They're outside in or inside out. And I think that we work really well together, but we are too heavily outside in. We are teaching our children outside in. The government is forcing our kids outside in.
Yep.
So you really got to just take an awareness of that and fight back, because the kids are going to be learning that if they have an emotional day, what are they going to do? Outside in? They are, because
Yeah.
that's what's being
They-
taught.
right. They are, but yeah.
So that's the fight.
Yep.
So I fight the good fight of faith, and that is that we are going to continue pushing the inside out philosophy, and we're going to continue helping people with a simple thing like an adjustment, so we can restore health to bodies, and we can do that forever. I love that.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a great service, right? I love it.
Yep. It is. By the way, fun fact, my parents actually met because my mom was a receptionist at a chiropractic office and my dad was a patient there. So
Oh,
so I am a product of a chiropractic
you really
care.
are. Chiropractic's been good to you.
Yeah, it has. All right, last question from me. So we've been talking for a while about how you care for other people in all these different ways. So how do you take care of yourself? Like you have a lot of activities, a lot of passions that all seem like very health and wellness related. What do you do for your own maintenance and to keep yourself living to that 100-year and beyond mark?
Yeah, right. Yeah, me and Stacy do that with the kids and stuff.
Yeah.
One is, one is going back to the original roots and foundation of our wanting to have the children born at home and not to be pulled on. So we respect their physical anatomy so much. We didn't want it being distorted.
Okay.
So, we didn't have a medical doctor pull their head out. Women are like, what about the epidural? It's like, well, I don't know as a man how to speak about that, because it's terrible for a guy to tell a woman how to have a birth, because we don't ever go through that.
Yep.
We'd never know that pain. We won't.
Mhm.
But I will tell you this, the less pain you feel, the less you push, the more they pull.
Right.
So for every pound you don't push, they will pull your baby by its head. Even with forceps, a lot of the spinal trauma, right? A lot of the migraines, some of the cerebral palsy, some of the stuff you've seen in here. A lady yesterday who can't move her right side of her body. Those are all birth traumas. So how do we
Wow.
non-traumatize a birth? We center the baby. We look for a natural birth. We have the mother, unfortunately, feel that pain. And with that pain comes an incredible ability to push with the force that you couldn't find. So my kids are born at home. We didn't
Yep.
interfere with their health. Son's not circumcised. There's a reason for that. Reason for the cover.
Yep.
Kids are non-vaccinated, right? Never been vaccinated. They grew up with no pediatrician.
And they're still
We've been to the
alive?
ER. Yeah, the whole life. Yeah, the whole life. Like no pediatrician. Like, why would we go? We weren't sick. We're like nothing happened. Like, how do you live a life when nothing happens? Get well, stay well. Get well, stay well. So then that was our foundation. After that, it was nutrition. We take, the kids have been taking vitamins since even before they could take a vitamin, like liquidly actually from Shackley. We were doing that.
My
And,
grandparents were Shackley distributors.
Yeah.
Yep. I
So high
remember
quality stuff.
Vitally.
Clinically proven. We don't mess around, right?
Yeah.
I'm clinically proven. The vitamins are clinically proven. So we do that. And then I remember the day my son graduated from Baylor University, finance, real estate. He's in, where's he at? He's at Fashion Island on the top of a high rise, filling out his stuff, and my phone's ringing. And I'm like, hey, what's going on, man? He's like, Dad, hurry. I just want to ask you a question. I'm filling out my paperwork for that company, and I just had a question. I'm like, all right, what's the question?
Yeah.
He's like, do I have a doctor?
Yeah.
Because, those forms, they ask all those weird questions. It's like, look, do you have a doctor, man? What, are you sick or something? So we have a foundation of inside out, and we did that the whole time with our nutrition, our bodies.
Yeah.
We didn't raise the kids with jackets, umbrellas, socks, and shoes, and we actually didn't shield them from the weather.
Right.
So my oldest daughter, when she went to Boise State and she was getting her master's in teaching, she went on a teacher's getaway to the mountains, and they're like, hey, how come you don't have any shoes on? And they're like, it's really cold. It was like October, November in Boise. And she's like, oh yeah, I don't know. I just don't really wear them, And so why do we do that? Well, obviously if something came out, and that was plenty of years ago, it was like 2015, 2014 actually. And then, but now we know about grounding.
Yep.
Right. And now we know about people are like, oh, cold plunge is going off the hook. Heck, we've been doing that forever. If you expose yourself to the elements, here's the reason for that. You have a neurological exercise. You are neurologically stimulating the nervous system through the temperature pain pathway in your spinal cord. So I've been doing that forever because I'm big in neurology, I'm big in biology, and we have to vasoconstrict, vasodilate. It's literally a nervous system exercise. Everybody else is like, hey, put a jacket on, you're going to get cold, you get a cold. It's not that colds cause cold, it's that you don't have the ability to adapt. So kids are lacking adaptation abilities.
Yeah.
So that would be one. Obviously, I've been adjusting them since they were born. Take them to church. They don't have no stinking thinking. They know that God's got good plans for them. They have somewhere to put their stress.
Yeah.
And when they do feel stressed, they don't do outside in. They do inside out.
Yeah.
That's it.
But
Pretty simple.
but what about you? What do you do? Like, what are you doing for yourself? Like,
Yeah,
what's your
so me,
routine
like, people are
now?
like, hey,
Like
how do you
you
eat,
said, you're
right?
going to work out with your son. Do you get
Yeah,
adjusted? Like, how does this work?
I do. Dr. Sabrina here in the office adjusts me here.
Okay.
Before we had Dr. Sabrina in the office, the guy down the street and I would share adjustments, and a couple of chiropractors from around here come here to get adjusted. If they come by
Okay.
here, then I'll get adjusted too. I like
Cool.
maintaining my adjustments out once a week, and then I eat paleo. That's my choice of
Okay.
nutritional uptake. Is for me, it's paleo.
Yeah.
And then we run, 6-10 miles a week.
Nice.
Lift. I would love to say, my goal is always 3 to 4 times a week. Realistically, 2. That's my.
You got to
my
get
schedule.
3.
Right? I got to get 3.
that third day in.
I need that pump. So in there's my discipline. Like, you're coaching me now, right? So it is true. I need to do that more. So those are the things I lean into you, and I learn from other people around me. Where do I need to improve? But those are the things I do: paleo, running, lifting, plenty of sunshine. We don't wear sunblock. Yes, I'm bald. I wear a hat when I'm sailing outside. I love the ocean.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be complicated. So I love that, right?
Yeah.
You get outside, you move your body, you lift some heavy things once in a while, you eat well, and you take care of your inside out. And
I think people's minds mess with them, and they make it your mind will make it really complicated, and you'd be like, well, that's just too much for me, right? And they'll get overwhelmed and they'll just say no to it.
Yeah.
So it is, like you said just now, it is simpler. It's easier than we make it.
Yeah. I mean, it can be complicated if we want it to be, but it doesn't have to
It can
be.
get up there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it can get up there. I just did my body weight, fat, my analysis, all that stuff, and I got some goals this year.
Yeah.
I
You got
dropped to
some goals.
142 in 2010. I'm at 165 right now.
Okay.
We're getting up there. So you just got to set your goal. You got to look at longevity purposes. And again, heart disease, #1 killer, both men and women. Not low back pain, but low back pain is the #1 killer of heart disease, cause of heart disease. So let's get moving. Eat well, move well, think well. And I think that it will come through for you.
Awesome. I love it. Well, folks, if you want to find Dr. Brian, he is at Back to Life Chiropractic, a wellness center in Santa Ana, California. Otherwise, if you're not local, just go find a chiropractor and find one that knows what they're doing, because there's
Exactly.
amazing.
Get adjusted.
Yeah, get adjusted. It's amazing. Even the chiropractors that don't do all the things that Dr. Brian does, like just taking care of, your spine. If you do nothing else, just it can be pretty
It's a really good start.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here. I really appreciate that. And I actually will see you Monday, because I will be in for my next adjustment.
Thanks for having me as a guest. I really appreciate that as well.
Awesome.
It's nice to be able to speak that to people.
Yeah,
Have a good day.
absolutely. Thank you. You too. Okay,
Bye-bye.
Bye. I hope you all enjoyed today's episode with Dr. Brian. That was a lot of fun for me. Hopefully you enjoyed it as well. Again, if you like what we do and you think other people would benefit from it, please subscribe, please share, and let's put the good word out there that we can take control of our own wellness. Also, as a reminder, the show notes for today's episode can be found at thesuperhumanblueprintpodcast.com. Have a great day, everyone, and I will catch you in the next show.